Continuing the study of lines in section 3.2, we'll get into some more technical detail about drawing lines and the description of lines, the important information about lines. So unfortunately for the snow cone business that's in the previous part of this lesson, they're not the only game in town when it comes to Frosty treats. They compete fiercely with Frosty the Cone Man, a nearby ice cream stand. And so here's this table describing, this is the ice cream cone man, the profits that Frosty can make based on the number of cones he sells. And we're going to use this, this information throughout these questions. So if he doesn't sell any cones, his profit is negative $375. In other words, he loses $375. If he sells 200 cones, his profit is still negative. If he sells 200 cones, he's still losing money, not as much. And then here we go. If he sells 400 cones, he'll make a profit of $13. So that's what this data is saying. So question number 1 says use the grid to graph the points from the table. Put cones sold on the horizontal and put the profits on the vertical axis. Okay, so be careful here. Here is the 0, but we have some profits that are negative, below 0 here. So that means we want to put the point 0, negative 375 on there. We want to put the point 200, negative 181 on our graph. We want to put the point 413. We want to put the point 600. If they sell 600 cones, they make a $207 profit. If they sell 800 cones, they make a $401 profit. And if they sell 1,000 cones, they make $595 profit. Those are the points we want to put on our graph. So here's 0 cones sold, negative 375. This is negative 200, negative 300, negative 400. That's right about there. The point 200, negative 181. That's about there. 413. 13 cones is about there. 600, 207 is about there. 800, 401. And 1,000, 595. That's really close to $600. And as you can see, that is a line. A straight line goes through all of those points. So that is a linear profit. Question number 2, based on the plotted points, does the graph appear to be a line? If so, draw it in. Yes, well, we've already done that. And question number 3, find the y-intercept of your graph and describe what it tells about Frosty's business. Y-intercept, this is your y-axis. The y-intercept is when the first value is 0. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 375. And what does this say? It would say there is a loss of $375 if no cones are sold. You could say a loss of $375, or you could say there is a profit of negative $375, but a loss of $375 is the more business-like way to answer that question. Okay, question number 4. Estimate the x-intercept based on your graph and describe what it means. All right, so here's our graph. The x-intercept is here. The x-intercept is when the y value, the second value, is 0. And that's pretty close to, but not quite, 400 cones. So we're going to estimate that at 390 cones. So we would say the x-intercept is 390, 0. With the x-intercept, the y value, the second value, is 0. And what does this mean? If they sell 390 cones, they break even. Break even means they don't make any money, but they don't lose any money. That's their break even point. Question number 5. Find the slope of the line using 2 of the points. All right, so I'm going to use the point 0, negative 375, and 200, negative 181. And remember, the calculation for slope is change in y's divided by or over the change in x's. So this would be x1, this would be y1, the x value for the first point, the y value for the first point, x2, y2, the x value for the first point, the second point, the y value for the second point. So this is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 375 minus negative 181 over you know what, it would turn out the same, but I want to put the y2's first. I want to be consistent with how I do all of these. I'm sorry there. That would be negative 181 minus negative 375. y2 minus y1 over 200 minus 0. So negative 181 minus negative 375 is 194. And 200 minus 0 is 200. So 194 divided by 200 is 0.97. So we go up almost 1, up 0.97 over 1, up to 0.97 over 1, up 297 over 1. Whenever it's a whole number over there, that's like over 1. So they make 97 cents. The slope, let's just answer the question. The slope is 0.97. And notice in calculating the slope, you subtracted 2 profits in the numerator and 2 number of cones in the denominator. Based on this, what are your units for the slope, and what does that tell you about the business? This was profit was in the numerator and number of cones was in the denominator. And we wound up with 0.97 over 1. So we would say there is a profit of 97 cents for every cone sold. In other words, they make a profit of 97 cents for every cone that they sell. Question number 7, based on your answer, how much would they make if they sell 10 cones? 97 cents for every cone. 10 cones, they would make a profit of $9.70 on 10 cones. How about on 20 cones? 20 times 0.97. That's $19.40. A profit of $19.40 on 20 cones. So in general, question number 8 says, how much would the profit go up if they sell X cones? X is a variable standing for any number of cones. So the profit would be $0.97 times X cones. Or we would probably just write 97 times X. The slope times the number of cones. So now we're going to put the pieces together in creating the equation of a line. These are the pieces for the equation of the line. The equation of the line, in this case, it would be profit. Whatever you're finding the value for, try to use the uppercase letter. So for profit, it would be P. If it was cost, you'd have uppercase C. If it was value, you would have uppercase V. So the pieces are always going to be the starting point. We could also call that the initial value. We would also call that the y-intercept. Those are 3 different ways to describe this first value. Plus the slope times a variable that represents, in this case, the number of cones. Starting point plus slope times variable. So my profit is going to be, we started at negative 375 plus 97 cents for every cone. That is the equation of your line. This is the y value of the y-intercept when x is 0. This is your slope. And this is a variable. That's the variable that stands for the number of items shown on the horizontal axis. So for question number 10, they say, remember that festival where the snow cone business sold 8,000 units? How much profit would Frosty the Cone Man make if he sold 1,500 cones at the festival? His profit would be negative 375, that's our starting point, plus 97, that's our slope, times x. So they're asking what is the profit when x is 10,500. So when you put your calculator into put this calculation into your calculator, you would get a profit of $9,810.